James to talk about some hope and skepticism. Hello, James. You're on with John and Kelley. How's it going?
Fantastic. How are you two gentlemen doing tonight?
Pretty good. What a way to spend a
Friday. All the time.
Yeah, there you go. Just every day. Kelley's just always great. What have you got for us, James?
Well, okay. So I'm going to ask for a special favor, and hopefully you can allot me this.
Okay.
Make this accommodation. Put me up a minute on the clock, because I know you guys like to get the people getting the straight shooting and cut the brass tacks and no fancy tricks. So
okay. I don't know. Do we have that capability on Truth Wanted? Are we able to bring up a clock? I don't think we are we? But we
I've
can
never
just
seen one, but
I will just do it in my head. How about that? I'll get actually. No, you know what? I've got a phone for this very thing. 1 second, James. Before you get going, I'm going to get it ready. And now I've got a stopwatch. I'm going to give you a minute. Off you go.
Cool. Tell me when to go.
Go.
Okay. Hope and skepticism. Is hope better than skepticism when it comes to having a belief in a supernatural idea, concept of reality, otherworldly things, unicorns, dragons, gods, mythical beasts, anything like that ancient man used to believe in that really, probably doesn't exist, but should we hope that they exist? Should we have any semblance of hope? I mean, when Cinderella is crying at her well and she's saying, all hope is lost, and her fairy godmother appears and says, child, you can't say that, because if all hope is lost, they couldn't be here. You believe that? And in a sense, we are all her, because we have all cried at our wells, and we hope that our fairy godmother would come along, but she never does. But somebody comes along. And remember that child in the new Superman trailer who says, Superman, he's raising the Superman flag with the Superman insignia. Sometimes Superman can only save one person at a time.
Okay.
Sometimes God can only save one person at a time.
I'm going to stop you there, James, because I gave you a minute and 20, and I'm not really sure what you're getting at. So I think I need you to just break it down a little bit more and simplify it. No, none of this like, well, what about Cinderella and the well or Superman and a child? What are you trying to get at?
Okay. Well, to preface a little bit, I only talked about that because all our stories of fantasy and fiction are just archetypical stories that we tell because we're telling a story about reality. But that being said, what I'm trying to get at is should we hope for an afterlife or God, something like that, because it does give us a certain kind of comfort in our fears of mortality, and it gives us respite to a certain degree in our sorrows. It is the good book, so to speak, in that it did say that sorrow only lasts for a night, but joy cometh with the morning.
Okay, so just to clarify then, you're saying maybe we should all start hoping that this is true or not true, depending on what you want out of life. And is that a good thing to do? Is that am I wording your words right?
Almost. I would say tonight I'm a hopeful agnostic.
Okay.
And you're almost wording my words right, but I would tweak them a little bit and say, not that all of us should hope, because I think all of us, whatever decision you want to make about it is fine, but at least maybe try to move in that direction, because it is just, there's something to the question. I think it takes to be said that hope is a virtue.
Okay.
I've got a couple of questions if I can ask them. You were talking about hoping about these mythological beings, like a dragon, right? What purpose would a real dragon serve? Mm-hmm. Why would anybody really want to hope that dragons were real?
Well, I mean, in lore, and it's true in ancient occult lore that some of them do speak. I'm sure
that's not what I'm asking, though. Is what purpose would even a speaking dragon be? right? What is it? Because they seem to be pretty destructive. Go around eating virgins and collecting everybody's gold. I'm not sure why we would want to have dragons. It's just a weird little thing that I thought about when you said that. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, it was kind of a weird thing. Another thing you said is that, you hope in something that like if you're in a bad spot and you need some help and somebody comes along, right? Someone doesn't always come along, thousands of kids starve every day because somebody didn't come along.
Right.
What about as well? I've got something to just dive in as well, James, just to throw more at you, because that's why we're here, right? What if two people had opposing hopes? What if someone said, I hope that there is a flying spaghetti monster, and I hope, and somebody else says completely different, I hope there is no flying spaghetti monster. What then happens if they're hoping for opposing things? How do we get to some kind of truth on that?
Can I throw a third hope to you about that?
Sure. Why not?
I hope there is a flying spaghetti monster so I can track it down, eat it, devour it, so there will be no more flying spaghetti monster.
But I mean, that still is there was still only two, because like the person one hopes that there is a flying spaghetti monster. Who knows what they want to do with that thing? But person two doesn't want hopes there is no flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah.
And so which one gets the truth? Yeah, right. And so there are thousands and millions even of people who hope things are true, right? And like you say, it gives people some form of comfort to hope that my mother-in-law, I would never mention her by name, but I love the fact that she believes for her reason because it just gives her comfort. And I would never take that away from her.
Right.
But that doesn't demonstrate the truth of it. So what really matters, I think, in this instance is getting to the truth rather than hoping and being skeptical.
For me, if I say I'm a hopeful agnostic, for me, sometimes it's not about getting to the truth or being rational or reasonable. It's about merely having hope in something greater than myself or the universe, because sometimes myself can't do it, and sometimes the universe throws a wrench into my gears. Do you know? I'll tell you. Ask me why I pray, John and Kelley.
Why do you pray?
I pray because someday, maybe, a God will hear. I pray because someday, maybe that God will listen. And then I pray also because maybe someday that God will answer.
Okay. Well, but are you praying to a specific God then, or are you praying to just any God that's listening?
Any God that will hear me and answer for Christ.
What if that God, though, what if that God doesn't like people praying to it and asking it for things? Would you not then just be angering that God more?
I guess so. But I think that God ought to do something about all the starving children in the world, don't you?
If there was a God, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I saw any child being abused, I would definitely step in and stop that from happening. If I saw, people abusing, I mean, specifically these days, it seems to happen a lot. Sexual abuse happens towards women. If I saw that happening, I would step in and stop it as much as I could. I don't see any gods doing that.
You're more moral than the Christian God and most other gods I've encountered. Pretty much all of them, Don.
And so why? So then my question would be, why do you need there to be a higher power if you're yourself? Or I mean, I'm speaking for me more. I would step in and do these things that a God seemingly has trouble doing. Why would you need something to be higher than you?
Well, nothing's higher than me right now. I just got done smoking a high-potency bone before the show.
Good for you.
Can I
vaporized? But to seriously answer your question, John, I wonder that often because I catch myself praying sometimes and like, this is just pointless.
Right.
But I'm just like, maybe my audio frequencies haven't, reached the far depths of outer space and beyond time where said God lives, and like, I don't know. I think this is
hang on though. So are you saying that it sounds like you're saying, and I don't let me put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're saying that this God will only answer you if it hears at certain frequencies. Wouldn't a being that supposedly created all that,
Please don't read woo into what I'm saying, John.
Okay,
I'm
good.
saying maybe somehow that God is so far away that God hasn't heard us yet. I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's
but that's good.
That's unanswerable.
Good, and that's a good position to be in. Saying I don't know is very honest of you, and I like that. But I think Kelley had some questions as well, since we got you here.
I did. I had a couple of them. One, like you were talking about why you needed to have that hope, and you mentioned earlier, like pretty early on in the conversation, about using that hope to deal with your fear of immortality. I don't know if you remember saying that. I wrote it down. I was keeping notes. So
mortality, not immortality, mortality.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. That was my slip of the tongue. Is that something that you deal with a lot? Is that something that you really dwell on?
On a constant and daily basis. You wouldn't believe the fears I have of death. Mostly from the Bible and a fundamentalist Christian friend of mine from a ministry, works for a ministry with a guy who has $1 billion, by the way.
Okay, now can I get to my second point? When you hope,
yes,
right, and all you're doing is hope, you're not actually working on fixing the problem. You're hoping that something else is going to fix that problem for you. So I don't see hope as being very useful, right? Unless I'm hoping that I get a ride to go do something today that I need, right? But I mean, to throw my well-being into the hands of something that I'm hoping for is not helping my well-being. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's rather stoic of you.
So when you're hoping for this higher being to solve this fear of mortality, wouldn't it be better to work on solving the fear of mortality in a rational way than hoping that something will actually happen sometime in the future? Wouldn't it be better to actually just work on solving the problem?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Kelley. You're absolutely right. 100%. I will not answer you any other way but saying you're absolutely right.
And like, since you're here and we've got plenty of time right now, I feel like, is there anything like that specifically worries you about the death side of the belief? And that's why you're hopeful that there is something?
Well, we're all of a sudden doing Death Cafe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. All the rage.
Fill us in. Explain.
Death Cafe is where people get together online, or at a cafe, or a place to have brunch, and they talk about mortality and their fears of death or their acceptance thereof and how they've come to terms with it.
Right. And is that's something you do?
Actively, yeah. I go to death cafes as often as I can on different various meetup, Zooms, meetup.
Huh. That's kind of cool. But is that helping you kind of step away from the belief side of things and helping you come to terms with it? Because I feel like you say you're agnostic, James, but it's almost like you are kind of just, where am I on this spectrum? And if I can come to terms with X, then maybe I'll be okay with everything. So
yeah, I think you've got me pegged down, John.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got me pegged right. But here's the thing. So a friend of mine many years ago, when I was in a severely rough spot, revealed to me one of the most scariest verses in the Christian Bible that has nothing to do with hell, but rather death.
Right.
And it's something that reveals something so amazingly morbid and terrifying that I dare not utter it over this airwave.
Okay.
And I shit you not. I shit you not. Like, I can't. Because
Okay.
I'm too afraid that people would adopt, I'm too afraid that people would adopt this fear. And I adopted it wholeheartedly. If you want to talk to me if you want to talk to me after the show, I'll be more than happy.
Do you know what? I think that would be good. Like, come and we do a Discord hangout after the show, and I feel like it might be a good idea for you to come, and it's a more intimate audience. Come along.
I can't do Discord because I'm visually impaired, so it's hard for me to text.
Okay.
But like,
well, the after show is a voice, is all voice.
Oh, I can't get into those rooms. I just can't navigate it.
All right,
okay.
Cool.
I'll tell you what, you Kelley would be so interested to hear this fear because I don't think it would affect either one of you two. But
well, I feel like let's just pretend nobody else is listening then, and why not let's just tell Kelley and I. We'll just pretend no one else is listening.
Yeah, well, we're just like hanging out in my office, the three of us.
Right, because I'd love to hear it.
Okay, I'll share the verse with you first. And Christ, through his death and resurrection, having taken away the pain of death. Buddy of mine told me he had a theory of his going for a long time, and even now he holds it, that before Christ died and resurrected, that there was a pain, a literal pain associated with death beyond the cessation of life.
Well,
I could go further if you want.
Can I address that point first before we go further, James? You have to remember that in biblical times, a lot of people were dying from things like infections and sepsis, and they were in pain when they died. Pain was part of death at that time period. It's not like today when you can go to the hospital and get a shot of morphine and pass away easily.
Yeah. But like when he told me that, I was in such a rough spot mentally and emotionally, and whatever we have going on inside of us, if it's a spirit, the human spirit that is thriving to be everything that we can be, and I'm not talking about anything ethereal, but just something that's human about us, you know? But like, it affected me so deeply that I did not have the common sense to say what you just said to myself, Kelley.
And isn't that awful that there's someone, maybe they saw that you were in a time of need and they gave that to you as a way to sort of, it's almost like bullying into believing it. You know, you're going through some troubled times. Here, if I tell you this, you're going to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
I know, right?
What a terrible way to be. Well, I mean, I feel like if we could give you anything, like, from this call, that when you die, and I can't speak for Kelley here, but for me, when you die, the same thing will happen to you as when or before you were born. You won't remember anything. So the best thing to do is to have the most amazing time you can whilst you're here, and you know that you're enjoying it. Have great relationships with your friends and family, or people that really matter to you, and just enjoy every single second that you know you're definitely going to have, because once it's gone, as far as we're aware, that's it. So if you want some, and I think a lot of people go, oh, I don't want to be forgotten about this. When I die, that's it, and that's really sad. It's not, though. If you make amazing memories and tell great stories and make people feel great about themselves, they're going to remember you and bring you, they're going to, I don't even know what I'm saying. They're going to pass on your memory for you. They're going to tell people about you, and your memory could live on. I don't know anything about my great-grandparents. Haven't got a clue. I'm sure they did some great things, but it doesn't matter to me. I know the people that I've met, my grandmother, I never met my grandfather, unfortunately, but like those people mean something to me because I had good times with them, and I tell my friends and family about those good times, and that's how their memory lives on. But if you're really concerned about like what's going to happen after you die, you might get forgotten about, make it brilliant now, is what I'm saying. Anyway, sorry, Kelley, you look like you wanted to say something.
I was going to say something, and it's not relevant to the conversation at all, but I think we have Amanda back, so y'all are lucky you don't have to see my face anymore.
There we go. That's awesome. Look at that. Well, James, that was, I mean, hopefully we got somewhere with this call. Oh, carry on. You go ahead.
Can I say one more thing, John? Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
And Amanda, hi, how you doing? But like, the last thing, since I get the last word, I'll say this. The reason, I don't know if you've ever heard anyone give a good reason as to why they'd like to live forever, John, have you?
I haven't heard a good reason for it, but I've heard reasons.
Would you like to hear mine?
Yes, I would love to.
I'd like to live forever. Because if I didn't get to live forever, I wouldn't be able to live, laugh, love forever, and hold my loved ones' hands forever.
Then they'd have to live forever as well for you to be able to do that. And maybe they don't want to.
With my annoying ass. So maybe we should all die forever.
That's why I don't want to live forever, because I know that I get on people's nerves. I'm like, okay, once I get to my late 80s, I'm done. I'm done with this. I don't want to annoy any more people.
You get better at annoying people though as you get older, and people just accept, oh, he's just old.
There you go.
They just let you do it. It's awesome.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you calling in, James.
Okay,
Thanks
guys.